Council, it is 6:02 p.m. on Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. I will call this regular meeting of the Barre City Council to order. Did I forget something already? No? We good? Okay, Council or Manager, are there any adjustments to the agenda? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of adjustments, more of a note on the consent agenda for the volunteer reappointments. I sent the council an additional packet for Donna Draymond-Polis for the Cemeteries Committee.
So noted.
So we will just add her to the approval. She had her letter of recommendation from the chair. There's no other candidates for her seat. She was just traveling, so that's why her application was late. And then there'll be an executive session for personnel and collective bargaining as agenda item 11.
Fantastic. Council, any adjustments to the agenda? I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you. Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you very much. Council, we're at item 2A on the agenda. This is Resolution 2026-06 in recognition of Deputy Chief Joe Aldsworth upon his retirement. Would you mind reading the resolution into the record?
Happy to.
Thank you.
A resolution recognizing the service of Deputy Fire Chief Joe Aldsworth on the occasion of his retirement after 19 years of service to the city of Barre. Whereas Joe Aldsworth began his career with the city of Barre on July 17, 2007, and retired on April 30, 2026. After approximately 19 years of dedicated service to the city's Fire and Emergency Medical Services Department. And whereas throughout his distinguished career, Joe responded to numerous floods, dozens of fires, hundreds of medical calls, and paramedic intercepts throughout central Vermont. And whereas Joe had a knack for getting things done in the middle of emergency, and was frequently seen scanning his phone to find the right person to call directly for the precise need we had at the moment in the city, including, for example, finding providers of fresh drinking water and sandbags during flood events. And whereas, beyond his skills in the midst of emergencies, many staff members will remember Joe as the unofficial chief grill master during staff picnics and national night out events, where he again displayed his ability to multitask and deliver. And whereas his career was also distinguished by his presence in the community, often providing EMS coverage for local high school teams and spearheading countless CPR, first aid, and AED trainings in the community. And whereas Joe was instrumental in the city's COVID pandemic response and instituted the city's safe needle disposal program. Whereas he will be remembered for his time in our city's leadership team as always being willing to fill a need, whether it is helping with traffic control for fire alarm issues, hanging the flag over Main Street, or decorating City Hall Park for the holidays. Now therefore be it resolved that the Barre City Council wishes Deputy Chief Joe Aldsworth the very best in his retirement and does hereby declare Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 to be Joe Aldsworth Appreciation Day, to express to Joe our most profound appreciation and sincere thank you for his 19 plus years of dedicated service and commitment to the public and fire safety. Be it further resolved, with a copy of this resolution be placed in the permanent records of the city of Barre, and that a copy be transmitted to Joe Aldsworth. By the order of the City Council, this 19th day of May, 2026.
Motion to approve would be in order.
Move.
Rush.
I'll take the second.
Moved. It's seconded.
I'll plead
Thank
the
you very
fifth. I'll
much.
take the
All those
second.
in favor of the resolution as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. Joe Allsworth, come on down.
Speech.
No, you don't get away that easy. I mean, you wore the suit and thing. I did. Nicholas, wanna
Absolutely.
come around? Chief, folks, all of you? Chief Brent, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
You wanna come up as well?
I'm gonna take a picture.
Oh, there it is, okay. Open it up, it's gotta be like a... Don't worry, it's not disappearing.
That's great. Over here. Perfect. Don't smile.
You guys are going to smiling. Thank you.
Keith, a little to the right, the glare is a little too much.
That's all right. I even let it get a little shadow.
I see that.
It's all yours, Joe.
Well, 19 years is a long time, and I've seen a lot of change in the city, and believe it or not, a lot of good change. I think every municipality that goes through the growing pains that the city is going through is what you're experiencing now, and I think that's where you guys have to build onto it. You have a good bedrock in the fire department now. We've built it well. Chief Bombardier, Chief Brent, now Chief Cushman. I think I urge you to continue to build upon what we've built. Police department is also in good shape. It's just hard, there's only so many dollars, but I just encourage you guys to continue to support, the foundation you're here, and then it'll grow. Mayor Lozon, I think it's been the longest that and then Councilor Bergeron, been together, and I think that change you've seen a lot, and people don't see it right off, but I think it's there. I just ask that you don't forget the men and women of the firehouse and the police department, because they really do make a difference here. Even the small stuff that they do means a lot, and it doesn't always bring to your attention that what is done, but they are out there, they're the boots on the ground, and that's where you have to remember that makes every difference in the world to the citizens. 19 years here in the city of Barre has really made me reflect back. When I came here, Mayor Lozon actually recruited me, so we've done a lot of great, and I appreciate every minute I've been here. There's been so many times that I've reflected back that I was like, wow, I remember doing that, from the Big Dig to Enterprise Alley to, when I first came here in the '07 flood. And then every flood after that, we just got better at it, and we improved, and I think that's something that you have to draw back from. What worked in the past, and how do we improve that for the future? I'm going to do it, Nicholas. I'm going to ask him. I think you guys really need to invest into a flood gauge. That's important. And it's something that everybody's heard me say that. I think it's important that, that investment is going to go a long way, especially for your merchants and for those folks that have repetitive flooding episodes. I think that precursor has really been helped out a lot. I know every time a rainstorm comes, I'm still getting phone calls from the merchants, and I think that's really important to be able to see that live time. So if anything, I have one last request, is that you really consider hard budgeting for a flood gauge for the city. And it's not just for me, it's not for the guys, it's for all the citizens. It really is going to be able to make it easier for you folks.
Thank you, Joe. So you're continuing your service on some level with the Sheriff's Department, with the court system. So thank you for that. I knew you weren't going to retire. Honestly, the hardest part for me was I have served for a long time, just as you did. And whether it was a structure fire, whether it was a tragedy, whether it was a flood, Aldsworth was one of the first numbers on my phone. And if I hit that number, unless you were really in the middle of something, I'd get an immediate, yes, sir. And Joe, what do you need? What's going on? And you did that so well. I mean, and I've told people this for years, there was no one better in an emergency than Joe Aldsworth. He thought about his men, most importantly. That would be, you never wanted anything for yourself. The men could use this, or they could use that. The citizens need this. You cared. And I take a little bit of comfort. Look, I wish you well. You have worked so hard. You deserve to rest and relax a little bit, spend a little bit of time with your family. But I know better. I know if there is a crisis, if I need something, I know that number is still going to work, and I know I'm going to hear yes, sir, on the other line. So once again, Joe. Council, anyone? Chief? Doesn't matter. Anyone want to say something to Deputy Chief? And by the way, the first floodgates will have Deputy Chief Joseph Aldsworth on them. I swear. I promise.
Appreciate that.
Joe, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great evening. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. Get out of here.
Thank you, everyone. Council, we'll move on to item 3 on the agenda. This is visitors and communications. Is there anyone wishing to address the council regarding an item not on the agenda? Yes.
Hello. Hello.
How are you?
Doing well tonight. How about yourself?
Doing well, thank you.
Tess Taylor
Kathy
and
Jameson, and I'm here tonight representing the Barre Rivers Collective. We used to be called the Barre City River Access Task Force. Changed the name. And
That's-
we're here to announce an event for next week.
I asked Manager Sorelli Castro to send you all an email on an event next week on Tuesday. I was kind of hoping, since we gave you Tuesday off next week, that maybe you could join us at 4 o'clock at the Vermont Granite Museum for a demonstration of a stream table put on by the state. And the stream table is a way to see water in all of its forms and its ways that it moves, and see the ways that we can make it move differently. And I've never seen a stream table, and I'm really excited. But this is to give us something to talk about on when we talk about our remediation for our floods and how we want to go forward. It'll give us some information, and I know that people on the council have had questions about, different techniques or ways to do it, and this would be probably helpful for that conversation.
Right. It's, physically engaging, and it's kind of fun to see it in action and play around with it. And we've also invited the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission
Right.
to give us an update on the work that they are doing regarding rivers and flood resiliency. And so we thought it would be a great positive discussion to have. We would hope that you all could join us. And we're also extending invitations to
The regional, our own planning commission, and our public works people, and general public. And we've also invited our senators and representatives. And so we're hoping to get a nice little crowd down at the Granite Museum at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, the 26th.
a week from today.
Yes.
Have you, yes.
Question, do you, like, does someone run the stream table?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we just say, hey, can you try this? And then they try it?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
And they can show you examples like what would happen if you did some dredging, what would happen if you increased the flow upstream, what would happen if, and you can run different scenarios.
dams, yeah.
And, and it's on a table that's, probably shorter than this, so it's not huge. And it's just, sometimes it's easier to understand something when you visually see it, and then you can modify it real time and play with it.
Yes.
So it's a physical model, not a computerized where you ask a.
Correct.
Correct. It's a
Excellent.
table.
With real
that
water.
They actually have a pump running with
Yeah.
water on it, and
And
they
they-
have little Lego trucks and stuff like that running around. Yeah.
By any chance, did they take any kind of statistics from our rivers, or it's just, we punch it in as you
It's
walk?
kind of a general how water works in different situations. If some of you were here when Stacy Pomeroy was here from the state and did an incredible presentation on water in different situations, looked at Irene floods and used that as an example.
Yes.
So I think this is great. I've seen it at the Museum of Science before down in Boston. Is there a way that we can record it so that way then we can put it on our website and give it so our residents can see this? I mean, I think it's a great opportunity to have this, but if we're only sharing it with those that are able to physically see it at the moment, then we may lose out on a lot of opportunity to kind of spread this to the rest of the community to kind of engage them.
That's a good question. We'll look into that.
Tony Campos is really great, 723.org.
Thanks.
Yeah. And Stacy, the person that Tess just mentioned, she is the person that will be coming next Tuesday to run the stream table. And while she's engaging folks in the different scenarios, we're hoping to have a lively discussion and ask her because she has a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Are you inviting folks from neighboring communities? I know
well, it'll be
in
on Fri-
Plainfield, they're having a lot of discussions about, I don't know if it would be helpful.
Well, the one thing is we did put it on Front Porch Forum, which does go beyond this community.
Right.
The other thing is, if we have too many people there, it loses a lot because you can't get in and see it.
Gotcha.
I figure who we've invited and typically who shows up from the community. Hopefully more will show up than usual, but that's probably right. But I would definitely let Plainfield know that this is a possibility for them because they've already done this in, what was the other community?
Johnson.
In Johnson.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll share how to put that together for them.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you. We'll see you
All
then.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other comments or questions under visitors and communications? Yes, Vern Rose?
Hi, my name's Bernadette Rose, Bern Rose. I just want to say thank you in person to you, Mr. Mayor, for a very fine campaign and for engaging with me. And I want you to know that I'm here, and please have my phone number for calling for help or assistance or any way that you think I might be useful in supporting the city. Thank you very much.
Well, right back at you,
I
Vern.
know. Thank you
No,
very
you
much, Tom.
ran the type of campaign, look, everybody wants to win. And like I explained to people, I don't care how many times you've run, it takes courage to put yourself out there.
It was good.
And you did that, and you did that with the goal of increasing voter turnout, voter participation. I wish there were more too. I looked at the final numbers and I said,
So we'll work on it.
that's it?
We'll work on it.
But thank you, and thank you for the gracious email that you sent me on Tuesday evening. I appreciate that as well. I appreciate you.
I do likewise.
Thank you. Is there anyone else under visitors and communications? Okay, then council will move on to item 4 on the agenda. This is our consent agenda. You will be approving the minutes of 5/5/26, I believe you do have some licenses and permits under the consent agenda, and those are?
Amy's Armoire Fill-A-Bag event on June 6th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's being held in the back parking lot. And then there's George's Dogs food truck. He's back. He's gotten himself his very own trailer, and he hopes to be in several places throughout the city, but he'll be outside Gusto's every Friday night.
George is world famous.
Yes, sir.
What can I say? In addition, council will be approving the HILP loan application. Those documents were passed before you for signature prior to the council meeting. We'll be approving the 2026-2027 local emergency management plan. That was in your packet as well. We'll be approving Resolution 2026-07, which is the authorization for the city manager to sign the stormwater project design and engineering grant agreement. We'll be approving Resolution 2026-08. That is the council authorization for the city manager to sign the Turning Point grant agreement. We will be making some volunteer reappointments, if you don't mind, council. If you bear with me, I'll read them, the names, so that we have them on the record. Under the Cemeteries Committee, Star Lecomte and Helen Long will be appointed to 2-year terms, as will Donna Draymond-Police. Under the Cow Pasture Stewardship Committee, Chris Russo-Frazier and Emily Hoffman, they will be reappointed to a 2-year term. Under the Justice, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee, William Toberg, Greg Cattell, Matt Mulligan, and Carlos Pereira. Sorry, Carlos, I do it all the time with your names. Will be reappointed to a 2-year term that will be expiring on June 30th, 2028. Under the Neighborly Barre Committee, Ernie Drown will be reappointed to a 2-year term. Under the Transportation and Public Works Committee, Ken Bauer will be reappointed to a 2-year term. And under the Unhoused Community Committee, Kathy Partlow, Dan Barlow, and Beth Mueller will be reappointed to 2-year terms. All of these terms that I just read would end on June 30th, 2028. And in addition, we'll be asking the council to approve and authorize the mayor to sign a warranty deed of merger to combine the city's wastewater treatment facility and ice rink properties into one parcel of land for the wastewater treatment headworks project. And we'll be authorizing the manager to execute contracts, and I believe you have one?
No contracts this week.
No contracts? Okay. They have none. Any questions, council, or comment? Yes?
So the property switched down at the rink, do we have any plans for doing anything with the rink?
We have to make some upgrades up there. The rink went out of use for a couple of years due to the weather, and so we need water access upgrades. The boards are in pretty rough shape, so I think that nothing immediate. I mean, it's just unfortunately the circumstances of a couple of years of no utilization led to where it is now. We'll still obviously own it, and we'll have a chance to maybe, hopefully get some volunteers. I know it was volunteer run before, and hopefully we'll get some of them to.
Right, and they use the old Zamboni.
They use the old Zamboni, yeah, and we'll actually have a newer old Zamboni in a couple of seasons, so that part will be sorted out. But yeah, it needs some attention. It needs mostly right now the problem with the water. I think eventually another issue there is that the surface isn't great. It's a grass surface, so I think if we want to start freezing it, we may want to consider a harder.
When you and I met with Kevin Spalding and Bob Pope, we looked at doing it on the tennis courts.
Yes, that's one option that we've looked at. And I think, unfortunately, the boards are in such bad shape that we had thought about moving the boards over to one of the tennis courts or basketball courts, and the boards just aren't in a good enough shape to really transport at the moment. But we may be, sort of better off. Maybe a relocation is better for it because that grass surface just isn't good for freezing.
Right.
So, but
thanks.
Yep. Would be a great community project, Councilor Bergeron. All you need is somebody to spearhead it.
Well, it might be something I would consider bringing up to the Barre Tournament Committee.
Yeah.
In the past, they've made significant donations to the city.
Yeah.
They built Wabi Park pretty much. So.
Great idea.
I'll bring it up again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments, council? Anyone? Yes.
I don't have a question or comment. I just have a couple of things. Well, actually, I do. They're questions and comments. On the minutes, under new business, it's page 7 of the packet, I believe. It says that Jeff Marr's a local representative of the Veterans Council, but I think he was a garden club representative, not a representative of the Veterans Council. Nicholas, do you remember?
Boy, that's a great question. I'm
He's
trying
my
to think of
neighbor, and
who-
I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I think
No,
it's the garden club.
I think
confirm
you're
it.
right, because Mr. Tallman was here. I'm trying to recall who was,
Someone,
Here.
someone was with Ron Tallman when he.
Right.
That was Mr. Marr.
That was,
yeah.
That was Chef Marr. But I think
Right,
he's
he's the one that-
he's the garden club, not a local representative of the Veterans Council. I don't think
Right.
he's the representative of the.
No, I think
that was.
you're correct.
I'm looking up this, I'll see if I find.
Okay.
I'll connect with Cheryl.
If
to confirm
necessary,
that.
we'll make that connection, but
I just
I'm-
don't want to like have it be misrepresented
yeah,
in the minutes.
I'm
that's all.
90% sure you're correct.
Yeah. And then, I know you guys are gonna really love this, but on the loan agreement, there's some typos.
Uh-oh.
Can I just give them to you after?
We don't generate that document,
Okay, well, yeah,
generated by the bond bank,
okay.
and it's being closed.
I mean, it's nothing of any consequence, they're just, I wish people could just proofread the documents better. Send them to me, I'll proofread them.
I mean, I'll take them. I'm not sure we'll incorporate them, but I'll
Yeah,
gladly
okay.
take them. Like if there's a.
I'll just talk to you
The dollar figures are good, right?
No, it was nothing like that.
They weren't, but I corrected those.
And then my last question is for the, what is this document with all of the people, local emergency management plan?
Yes.
Yeah.
When, like, right now we have deputy fire chief is vacant. When do these, how does that get updated? And I'm assuming that gets updated and pushed up to the state level as well?
Yeah, we will, I mean, I'm still listed on there. Janet tracks this through the year.
Okay.
And she'll
She'll make updates as
we go.
okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And I think that's it. Thank you.
Any other, yes?
So one question regarding the emergency management plan. I noticed that we had all the other area schools within Barre City located on here, other than the C building, the Spalding Educational Alternative on Allen Street. So would we want to add that into this as well?
I can check with Janet if that's needed. That's the C building you said?
Yeah, on Allen Street. That's an extension of the BUSD.
Yeah, I'm happy to,
What's one of the 4 site locations that they use?
I'm happy to check with Janet. I think she gets most of this from the school, so we probably populate it based on the information we receive, but I'm happy to check on its inclusion.
We likely do need to include that. That was probably omitted.
We will make that change before we sign it.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? I don't remember, that was such a
don't
long
think anything
discussion.
was moved.
A motion to approve would be in order first.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
And a second? It's second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you. We got it right that time. Council will move on to item 4A on the agenda. This is the approval of the city warrants. We'll be approving the week of 5/20/26, ratifying the week of 5/13/26.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Abstention is noted. Motion carries. Ms. City Clerk.
All right, I'm just talking from the cuff here. We had a long week last week. Great, very successful election. Welcome back, everyone. It's like we never left. Including the election, we had our last quarter of tax collection all in the same week. So we in the office are exhausted. Carol has been kind enough to step up and help because we are short-staffed. We have an extended absence from the office, and so she's been kind enough to step in that role temporarily until we can figure something out. But now that things are calming down, we're all taking a deep breath and trying to whittle down the piles of work that kind of built up during the election and the tax break. So that is what we are doing. We're just taking a deep breath and getting through the week.
Perfect.
Looking forward for a long weekend. That's what we're doing.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes.
may, first, congratulations to the clerk on her reelection as well. And also, I thought it was an excellently run day. I know we all talked at length about the change to the location, and I think that the room was beautifully laid out, and I didn't hardly see anyone get confused about where to go, so.
And I think
Very well
having
done.
somebody downstairs really, really helped.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great.
And there were all kinds of candidates to point them in the right direction. So it all worked.
Yeah.
Yes.
So really the same compliments, great job with the new layout. My only concern was the parking situation, where there wasn't
yes.
a lot of places, there weren't a lot of places for folks to park in the front. So there were some cars that had kind of pulled in and then decided to pull out because there wasn't anywhere for them to go. So,
Yeah, Nicholas, do you know why the parking lot was roped off?
It's because of the access, problems we have with
Oh.
the back of the site.
Yeah, it was just an oversight. But so noted, and it likely won't happen at a subsequent election.
Right.
And then, of course, it was election day, so everyone was off. So it was difficult to get a hold of folks. But noted, I don't think too many people actually left without voting. I know there was one gentleman who came, and as he went by, he said, well, at least there's parking places this time. I had to come back. So I think hopefully most people
Yeah.
kind of figured it out. Any other questions or comments? Okay, then we will move on to, I don't think we have, yeah, we do.
We do.
We have a number of licenses under Liquor and Cannabis Control Board. They are in session.
All right, we have Cumberland Farms, both north and south, for their second-class liquor, their tobacco and tobacco substitutes. We have Gusto's first-class liquor and their outside consumption. And we have the Meltdown first-class liquor and their outside consumption. They've all been vetted through all departments and have been approved by
So moved.
Be in order. Thank you. And a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. Liquor and Cannabis Control Board is adjourned. Mr. Manager.
Thanks, Mayor. A couple of updates for the council. As if you've been traveling through downtown, you know our Public Works Department has been very, very busy during our construction season. Water and sewer upgrades will be taking place at the Washington Street, Spalding Street intersection. So traffic has been detoured, and that'll be taking place through Thursday afternoon is the expected timeframe. So that's been, I know, disruptive, but I think disruptive for a good cause, obviously. We've also had continuing work up on Camp Street, and I think they're doing a great job of getting some of these big projects done during our short construction season. On the citywide reappraisal, just wanted to inform the council and the public that preliminary values from the reappraisal will be in the mail on Friday, and so they should hit folks' mailboxes at home early next week, hopefully, depending on how quickly they're delivered. So those will be preliminary values, as I mentioned. The assessing office will host informational sessions for property owners those can be requested and scheduled in June. Those can be scheduled through the assessor's office. We'll make sure that information goes out once those values start reaching homeowners. So there'll be a chance for people to talk to the assessors about those figures. And then finally, my thank you to the voters for their support of the budget and all the articles that were included on the ballot this year. As I mentioned to Dave Delcor, and we take great effort to prepare and present the responsible budget. Would take the responsibility very seriously to make sure we do that. And it's humbling for all of us to have the support of the community in the vote. So we appreciate that. We're well underway with regard to implementing the budget. Chief Vale has made offers for the two members of the Bs, and so the downtown patrols are imminent. We have some resources from vacancies to be able to start that before July 1 of the new fiscal year. So really excited that we'll have that budget initiative underway early. And really excited with the additional 200,000 that was approved for paving of expanding the paving program for this year, which, as we've noted a couple weeks ago, we're working with the state to expand that to do some real significant, I hate to call them Band-Aids, but like bridge paving to get us, South Main Street and Washington Street, get them to the state paving schedule. So we hope that, we appreciate the voter support, and we're looking forward to, implementing and using the resources they gave us. So.
Thank you. Yes, anyone? Councilor Spaulding.
I have a question about, I appreciate the work being done on Camp Street. My question is, or my concern is, it's pushing more people onto Hill Street and like Woodland Drive, and there's some pretty major potholes on those two roads. And so sometimes when you're coming down Hill Street, you actually have to stop because you can't get around the cone and the pothole when traffic coming up. So, and there's really nowhere else
To
go because Camp Street's closed. So if we could look at those, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Try Nelson Street. That's not what.
Well, I'd have to park my car and then walk the rest of the way.
If maybe we could have, in one of the next upcoming meetings, have Brian come in?
Yeah.
Give us an update of where they are?
Yep, absolutely.
And then where they'll be going into the summer?
Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? Have we heard back from the secretary regarding South Main and Washington?
Not definitively. I think they're working through the logistics of us hiring their contractor to do that work. So he did mention that he acknowledged receipt, they're working on it, and they will give us an answer, but we haven't. But I'm confident they're working with us in good faith on it.
They're being, the use of equipment
Yeah.
is invaluable. It's going to make it a lot more efficient. So we have made at least a little bit of progress between Nicholas and I, having conversations with V-Trans and specifically with the secretary. What I was referring to specifically was one of the things that we asked, our issue is capacity. Everyone's issue is capacity because our paper only has capacity for so much work. And so what we asked the secretary to do is we said, look, if you can allow the city of Barre to piggyback on your contract, we can get these two sections of road, and we specifically picked two sections that are technically state responsibility in terms of repaving. And we said, look, if you make your contract available, which is a great savings to the city and also allows us greater capacity, we'll help out with the payment. So we're just waiting. He said we could definitely do one or the other, and then, of course, us being us, we said we'd like both. And so he's just trying to work that out with their team. So that's what that conversation was all about. Any other questions or yes?
Sandra Perry had emailed about the fire hydrant work that was going on and the bag that had been just. So I was just wondering if we had any update on what the situation.
Yeah, the crews have been basically on these two projects, so we'll dispatch somebody up there to get it, but I might just go up there and grab it myself, to be honest. But yeah, we couldn't. All the crews are basically split between Camp and Washington right now, so we've been prioritizing that, but we'll have somebody grab it.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, then moving on. Yes, I'm sorry.
When can we get together and have a cleaning party of 143 North Main?
Name the date.
I'm free most times after 3 o'clock any day.
Can we put a sign-up sheet? So let's see if we, how many we can, because I was gonna bring that up too. That's good.
Pete said we could, Pete Coleman said we could grab his outside spigot, his water.
Yep.
So we can certainly do that. If it needs pressure washing, I've got a pressure washer. I can. So
I've got window squeegees and a
just let me know what would really look nice. I'd like to, if anybody's got any ideas, it would be nice to put some old pictures in the windows. So you're not looking at real estate advertisements that are 2 years old. There's different things that we could do.
Sure, we can get an entrance too, right? Can you get entrance to the building? So we could put the pictures on the inside? Yeah,
We can arrange for that.
right.
But, okay, let's put a work party together. Would you mind if we advertise it a little publicly? There may be
I think it's great.
other folks who As far as access to the building itself, that's going to be limited, very limited.
Yeah.
You know, we can't, we won't be able to have people kind of traipsing around throughout the building.
Waivers, big waivers.
Yeah, we don't want to do that. But yeah, no, I think it's a great idea, and I think to clean it up, and I'd love to see some pictures or something in the windows and we're already, by the way, I do have a couple of meetings this week with potential developers and working with Carol and Stephanie, and so we'll be talking with folks about possibly development, and we'll stay tuned.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anytime. Anything else, council? Okay, then we'll move on to item 8, new business. Under item 8A, we do have to organize the actions of, even though it's not a new council, it's the same council, but we do have to organize and approve. Currently, I believe, who is authorized to sign the warrants? Carol? Me, and is there anyone else?
Whether there's anybody else.
Okay, because you send them to me in the off weeks, and I sign them and send them back from the council. I'd be happy to continue that if that's the will of the council.
And that is allowed by statute.
What's that?
It is allowed by
Yes.
statute.
Yes. So motion would be in order?
So moved.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? And we can appoint an alternate by statute, correct? Who wants to? You just review the warrants for completeness. I mean, I'm usually around and I actually sign electronically, so as long as I have a phone with me, it doesn't matter where, okay, so we'll leave that one there. As long as I have a phone, I can do it. They usually send it to you a day or so in advance, but, you know, you do have to get it back before they can pay the bills, so I'll make sure I pay attention. Secondly, council, under item 8A2, we need to appoint a deputy mayor. Currently, the deputy mayor is Councilor Deering, and traditionally, although we have on occasion varied from tradition, we offer that position to the most tenured council in terms of length of service. Motion would be in order?
So move.
Move for,
Mr. Deere?
oh, Councilor Deering, okay. Just checking, you didn't say a name. Is there a second to that, please?
Second.
Thank you. It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much, council. We're a little bit late on this. I apologize. This is a second reading, warned for 6:30 PM. This is ordinance 2026-02. This is the winter parking ban ordinance update. So this will be considered read a second time, and it will go into effect 30 days, I believe, from 30 days from this evening, correct?
14?
I think it's 14
Is
after
it
it's
14
published
now?
on Saturday.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so we'll publish it in the Times-Argus on Saturday, and then
14 days from
14 days after
publication.
that. Yep.
Gotcha. Motion to approve would be in order?
So moved.
Thank you. It's moved and seconded. Is that okay? All right, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please. I'm sorry, Bern, did you have a question?
I think it's a great idea. I'm just wondering is there some way that we can make sure that the people that might not notice the Times-Argus or this discussion and think that the parking ban is over, that we can get in touch with them? Was there a group of people that were parking and we had to like either tow them or do something that we can give them some special notice so that they're more aware of this special times? And are we going to put it up on, the flashing city signs, and how can we just help people not get bad fines and stuff like that?
It worked. I mean, I'll let Nicholas speak to any specifics, but it actually worked a lot better this year.
It worked really well.
Most of the time, it was simply because people were unreachable. Either they were boarding a plane or they were on vacation, and they left their car there, and then the parking ban was in effect. So it really worked well. I don't,
I'm just saying, it's not winter, so people aren't anticipating that we're going to say, oh, you can't park there, or there's a citywide parking ban. And so whatever we can do for outreach, I'd really appreciate some extra outreach to people, and maybe have it be, okay, we could even do a trial and do it and see who are we missing, and so that those people don't get fined the first round, and then have a really, when we need to have them off the street, then we can make sure that they know.
Yeah, I think the new parking bans that would be authorized by this ordinance change would really primarily be, that are not part of the winter parking ban, would be really tied to street sweeping, and they're probably going to be very narrowly limited to probably the downtown corridor. That's where we struggle with the sweeping the most, and so they're probably going to closely follow the end of the winter parking ban season, and then, so yeah, I think when we start to approach that era, that would be a time for that notification to happen. Right now, there's no plan to do any of these standalone parking bans because it's all really correlated with street sweeping, which has primarily occurred and is now sort of being done in spot checks.
Okay, so mostly it sounds like you wanted to do it to extend that season a little bit.
Well, it wouldn't extend the season, but it would, the street sweeping typically happens a few weeks after the winter parking ban season ends, and so it would happen fairly close to that, and I think the best approach is to start communicating that around that time. Right now, it's not going to stick with people because it's not going to be happening until next April.
Great, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that takes care of the summer then.
And we do get an opportunity to advertise also.
Yeah.
Unlike the weather events, we literally know a week or two in advance, so we can really, we can put it out there on social media, we can do the regroup, we can put it on the city webpage, we can let landlords know. I mean, there's a lot of different methods because we have planning on our side that we don't have with the winter event.
That's really great. I think those are all good things. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, council, we have a volunteer appointment to the Parks and Rec Committee. Come on down.
He is online.
Oh, there you are.
Metaphorically.
Yeah.
How are you? Oh, is she there?
Eddie.
Eddie Rouse.
Eddie, you there?
There he is.
There he is.
He's muted, though.
You're on mute, Ed, so you need to take yourself off mute, please. There you go.
Hi.
And as we do, just please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what interests you in terms of the Parks and Rec Committee.
Yes, my name is Eddie Roos. I live at 2 Waterman Street, been here 30 years. Recently, the last 2 years have run the BOR concession stand on behalf of Rotary and was asked to consider doing some projects through the Barre Parks and Rec Department, and through Rotaline Premont's urging, I attended a meeting and I've thrown my application in to do that.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Roos, anyone? Ed, I'll ask you the same question I ask all applicants. So as you said, you're familiar with the committee, attended meetings, and I just want to make sure that you understand the time commitment involved and that you're prepared to meet that commitment.
Yes, I'll do what I can. I'm a little stretched, but I think I can commit to that with Rotaline's prodding. Yes, very much so, yes.
Thank you, Eddie. Motion to approve will be in order, council.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, not at all. All those in favor of the motion is presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion is carried. Welcome aboard, Ed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment on the, I couldn't help but overhear the discussion about the North Barre rink and the consideration of moving it. Certainly, I would think that would fall somewhere, Jeff, under the Parks and Recreation, but certainly interested in that. We'd like to support the rink there. Grew up on that rink, grew up in the North End. And then just also comment on Joe Aldsworth's public service. I can't speak enough on his behalf, as you folks already have. And sad to learn of Nicholas's departure. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Okay, council, we will move on to item 8D on the agenda. This is the Flood Resiliency Plan Community Microgrants. Councilor Guston?
Yes, council had approved this one quite a while ago in initial concept. The idea is to give out very small amounts of money, around $250 was the amount we had discussed at the time, to groups of neighbors who wanted to plan events in their neighborhoods. At the time, council approved the initial idea that was moved down to the Parks and Rec Committee, which has had some turnover in the last year and change, and so now it is back with council with a proposed application, and as the manager has laid out in the briefing memo, there are a couple of decision points for council's input. Chiefly among them, does council want final approval of recommendations from the Parks and Recreation Committee, or is council comfortable with those approvals and follow-ups being handled at the staff level? I think the manager and I would both recommend that the staff level for this small amount of money does feel like a fine choice, but wanted to share the grant application for review and also that question for council.
Anyone care to weigh in? So how many would you be doing?
10?
You'd be doing, so total of $2,500. You know, personally, I'd be okay with that being handled at the staff level. I would appreciate an update. So if you had, you know, if it became a really competitive process, if all of a sudden you had 30 people apply for 10 grants, I think we'd all appreciate
Absolutely.
just saying, okay, I guess we got to put a little more thought into this, but I'm very comfortable with it being handled by either the committee with a final sign off from staff. And if you, yes, of course.
Just sort of jumping off what you're saying, I would love to know, just to have like inner records, like who's applying and what they're doing. I think that would be great, and it might help sort of spread the word for other people to do similar things in their neighborhoods, so.
Absolutely.
And so how are you going to, like stagger them? Or are you going to, what were you thinking?
So there was some, and I can let Councilor During speak a little bit to this since he has been staffing the Parks and Rec Committee more consistently. But I know that was some hope for council at the beginning of this outlet. I don't believe that is currently part of the plan for the granting out. But I think that may be part of the information that comes back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of, you know, for example, in the winter months, somebody could say, I want to do a community sliding party in Elmwood Cemetery. Someone may say, I want to do a community party when we have a all skate. So there could be, so I'd like to see at least some events. You know, winter can be pretty long. So it would be nice to have at least a few grants available for the winter months, and whether it's something through the, you know, through the school district or organized by the school district, I think there could be that. I'd just like to see more of a year-round opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And I think that when this opportunity is shared out, we can sort of frame that up as a possibility. I know there already has been a first inquiry. Timing-wise, it didn't work out, but the Mathewson Playground Committee had asked for some money to support the opening of their new tiny library, little free library, excuse me. So it's looking at that size and that locality of event.
Gotcha. Did you have a question, ma'am?
She's our vice chair on the Parks and Rec Committee.
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, you know, with approving, if you do approve that the Parks and Rec Committee does do the, you know, the approval, if you guys could consider giving us some parameters on, you know, how do we decide what, you know, how we would award?
Oh, absolutely, we would. I mean, we need to. You know, I don't know that it was the council's intention if someone said, well, I want to have a birthday party for my daughter and invite her friends. That wasn't exactly, well, that's a community thing. That wasn't exactly the type of thing that we were looking to fund. So, yeah, I mean, I assume there's absolutely going to be guidelines.
So from our initial conversations at the council level, and I want to be clear that I passed this off to the Parks and Rec Committee and have not been following it as closely, but from our initial conversations at the council level, we had expressed a hope for, as the mayor had suggested, staggering some of the grants across the year, whether the committee decides they want to do 3 each quarter or something roughly like that. Another hope was having the focus on truly local events within neighborhoods themselves. So the more local and the more locally supported by neighbors would rank a grant higher. There was some discussion at council in the initial conversation about whether or not this would be available for businesses. And as I recall, and others can please fill in, council was not interested in ruling that out, but stated a preference for sort of citizen-led or resident-led applications for the grants, so that those would all be factors as well. There was also the suggestion of what a mechanism for ensuring sort of locality could be, like 5 neighbors have signed off on this application together, and therefore we can sort of cite it on this one street. So I hope some of that is helpful.
No, that's helpful. I think we can work with that if allowing us to do it.
The other thing I would say, I don't know, I think it's maybe something that we should talk about, or I would encourage, is I would want to make sure that we were being fair in distributing them to all the wards. Like, I don't want like everybody in Ward 2, like, oh, hey, the neighborhood, this neighborhood had one, and so now this other neighborhood in Ward 2 is also going to have one. Like, I think we need to also sort of be fair in making sure that we're getting all the wards and as many neighborhoods as we can. Yeah.
Several from one ward, and then another ward wants to have one, we have to be.
Yeah.
As the council liaison, I want to protect my committee and feel that this should be on the staff level. I think that there are a lot of parameters and things that need to go into the judgment, but also the fact that the committee only meets once a month, and the members that are on the committee, they're doing the best they can as it is. And I feel like this is a huge ask for the committee currently, the way that it's set up. So I think the committee could handle it, but I do feel that it would be best handled more at the staff level, so that these types of things can also be worked through the manager's office. Because I think that while the committee is well-versed in many things, I don't want them to get a rap of one way or the other. I just think that it's much easier and less politicized, even potentially, if it's gone through the staff level than through the volunteer committee appointment, through the volunteer committee.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing is, why don't we do, because I agree with you. I wouldn't want to see, 10 micro grants go to Ward 1 or 10 to Ward 2. I mean, we do want to evenly distribute it. What it's really about is community building. We want people to get out and meet their neighbors and get to know each other. So I think it would be absolutely appropriate to say, look, it is our strong intention that 3 grants be distributed to each ward, and then, the other one's just kind of up for grabs. So we'll reserve, and if no one applies in Ward 1, for example, well, we'll have to revisit that. Maybe we say, okay, well, then we'll open it up to others. But it's really about, community building. I think the staff, what I'd like to see is, it would be Michelle, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Michelle would be the staff member assigned, so folks could forward the application to her. She could review them, and she could make a recommendation to the Parks and Rec Committee. And she, much like we do, and say, well, this is what I'd like to see happen. But, ultimately, we'll have the Parks and Rec Committee make the final decision. Is that okay with council? Yeah. And it's finally 70 degrees in Barre, Vermont. So let's roll these things out and get going with them.
Maybe a balloon fight or something.
Fantastic. So are you good, Councilor Guston?
Yes.
Yeah, we think we have enough direction, council? Kind of sounds okay? All right,
Thank you.
then we'll get going.
We need a motion.
We need a motion for that, to approve the.
Oh, okay, I'm
I
sorry.
motion to
I
approve the
thought we had
micro
approved
grant.
it way back when. We just approved the
We
concept?
approved the concept.
Okay. And this will come back one last time, council. You'll get to see the application and the parameters. So that's the only thing that I would ask is if Michelle could just show us what the application
We
is going to look
do
like. And
have
the rough parameters scoring?
We have application, but we can come up with the parameters around it. We can.
Yeah,
we can
I mean,
flesh
they're
those
going to
out
be
more.
pretty loose. It's really just about community building and reaching, reaching a number of participants. So motion to approve would be in order?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second, please?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, thank you very much. The motion carries. Just in time, Counselor. Counselors, we're at item 8E on the agenda. This is City Leadership Transition Planning. Sir, how are you? Come right up. Been a few years.
I was thinking, the last time I did a manager search, we hired John Craig, and I think it was your first tour of duty.
Correct. It was.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Good to see you.
All right.
Was that the contract, Dominic?
This is just some materials.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I was going to say, I had the contract in the city, in the counselor's package.
So we can,
I apologize. Why don't you start by introducing yourself?
I thought I might introduce myself and talk a little bit about how we usually work in a search, both structurally in a linear fashion, and then invite some conversation. We can do it a lot of different ways. There are enough to go around? Yeah.
There are.
So my name is Dominic Cloud. I've been the city manager in St. Albans for 18 years. Previous to that, I was with the League of Cities and Towns for 7. And 4 or 5 years ago, I was coming off the board, and the league approached me and said, you know, what really makes the difference in a community's success over the long haul, those that achieve their strategic objectives or those that spin their wheels and have to reinvent themselves, is having some continuity in the manager position. And the best way you get continuity is you get the right fit. There's lots of different types of managers. We'll talk about some of that. But obviously you need to offer a good enough package. But mostly people stay in jobs because it works for them. And so St. Albans has had a great experience for the last 15 plus years. And it's about certainly great leadership at the council level. But what keeps me there, they give me a good compensation package, and it's a great fit. I live in Essex. I'd be a terrible fit in Essex. So for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been working with towns to try to help them find their next leader, particularly when they're in an inflection point. In your packet, a couple of things. On the right side, documents. And one of the first efforts we work on is a promotional brochure, and there's 2 examples from recent searches in Springfield and Windsor. So throughout the search, I work with typically a committee at first, and then ultimately the city council as their principal staff person. So I work with that group the same way that I work with the city council. I listen to them. I try to find the words that reflect what they want to do. I facilitate their process, and I bring the technical expertise so that they can offer their input along the way without having to reinvent the wheel every time. One of the first things we would do is produce a document like this that reflects the city of Barre. I cull some of the information in that to make some shorter versions, something like one of these white sheets, and then replace the ads. Run at least 3 weeks. A month is ideal, depending on when holidays fall and things like that. Resumes all come to me. I sort them into 3 piles, yes, maybe, and no. That all derives from what the committee said, this is what we're looking for. And we get together and have a conversation and say, these are the ones that I'm interested in. This person has a great resume, but I Googled them and I didn't like this really crazy thing I found, and somebody else says, I kind of like that. And so we decided, let's bring him in for an interview. Write the questions. We get together and talk about the questions, work with the committee and give them some do's and don'ts for interviewing, questions you can ask, questions you can't. Conduct those interviews. I'm usually there for the day, just providing logistical support. For the interview. End of the day, we cut that list usually in half. Magic to the number, but you try to cut it in half at each level. So if you have 8 in the first round, it's 10, sometimes it's 6, but let's say it's 8, you cut it to 4, and that usually goes on to the city council. The process repeats again at the city council. Oftentimes, there's some overlap, and it sounds like in the process you've envisioned there would be between the first round and the second round with some people that were involved. List of questions, new issues that we draw out. I begin to do some loose reference checking at that point, calling around. If it looks like there's a couple of candidates that are nudging out, I'll make a few calls. Then when we get a final candidate, work with the council to get an offer together. I interface with the candidate and represent the city, try to get it to conceptual level, hand off to the city attorney to write it up formally. At all times, I'm the contact with the candidate. Sometimes that first candidate doesn't accept it. And so we have a conversation along the way about how much do you like this person? Are they heads and tails above? Should we do everything to land them, or is it a whisker? Confidentiality is key. Your best candidate and the easiest candidate to hire is already working in Vermont, ideally within a commutable distance, looking for the next job, their next opportunity. That's the easiest, that's the quickest. Doesn't always mean it's the best. You know, sometimes you look from faraway places like New Jersey to hire somebody. Where you're from?
New York.
New York, pretty close.
Close.
We had to really bend the rules.
So, you know, I can't emphasize the confidentiality piece enough. One of the biggest questions I get from potential candidates is, I'm really interested, but if they find out I've applied, I'm a lame duck here. That's of critical importance. 3 months is about as fast as it can run. We can influence that by how quickly we get the ads placed. Sometimes it nudges closer to 5, depending on where holidays fall. Interview logistics, typically. But I'll close by saying it's probably the most important decision you make during your time on the council. Highly paid positions. You want them to get to the end of their tenure thoroughly exhausted, having left it all on the field. And so you got to get the right person on the way in. If you find that right person, it's sometimes worth waiting a month for them to finish a project. Hopefully it's a long-term decision. Councilor Guston, questions from you?
Well, I'd spoken briefly to Dominic, but I'll turn it to the mayor.
I guess more an assurance. There will be absolute confidentiality.
Thank you.
There will be no breach, not from this council. If there was a breach from me, and I can assure you, ethics are very important in my profession. But if that breach came from me, I would expect this council to ask me immediately for my resignation. It is that serious. People will not apply. And think of how you would feel if you looked at a position. There were other folks who applied when we hired Nicholas Girla Castro. We held in complete confidence, as we do to this day. That is critical. Put yourself in a professional's position where you're thinking, I might appreciate the opportunity. I want to reach a little bit, and I might appreciate the opportunity to move up a bit in my career. Okay, but if I'm not assured of confidence, if I can't confidently apply and know that my name will not be made public, they simply, no professional would apply. They just wouldn't. So I can't, and I'm not preaching to anyone, please understand. I'm simply saying to you, you have my word that there will be, that every application will be held in strict confidence. Many probably won't even make it to the council level anyway, because that's some of the things that we've talked about. The other thing I thought about, Dominic, and I want to say, I'm proud of the council that I serve with. I'm proud of these people. We make mistakes, but we usually get the important stuff right. We're not perfect. Would it be helpful for the city council to draft a letter to go with an application, with something, if anyone applied, or even something that is just part of a packet that someone could anonymously pull, basically talking about the council and saying, look, one thing that we can pledge to any applicant, first of all, is your application will be held in strict confidence. And what we can tell the successful applicant is that while we are not perfect, we're very good.
Yeah.
And we will treat you respectfully. This will be a great position. We'd encourage you to speak to Mr. Storella Castro. I mean, tonight I wanted to torture you. I was going to say, okay, quitter's report instead of manager's report, but I didn't. It's been a good relationship. Yeah. We wish he wasn't going, but we absolutely understand why he is. So would a letter like that, you think, be helpful?
It could be. Let me think about it a little bit. And how
think
best
about
to
it and
play
get back to me and let me know.
Much of what is really important is what they'll find on their own research when they read the newspaper and they watch public access.
Yeah.
What drives managers out is conflict amongst the board, where every decision, is a whisker. It just nobody, so.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it, the stuff that we really get right and we do really well, that doesn't make the newspapers.
Yeah, agree.
What sells newspapers is when there's a conflict, and when you have 7 people who perform in their own careers at a high level and can have those conversations but always reach a resolution. Well, of course you're going to have some conflict. So I want to make sure that any applicant understands that we don't view ourselves as perfect, but we also understand the importance of trust, of respect, confidentiality. We all understand the value in those things.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think something like that would be really helpful. My only concern is just wanting to be sure that we don't overshoot it and make it sound like we're trying to compensate for something, and my
I'm not at all.
My sense is Barre's a really functional town, and it's professionally managed. And, I was just driving around tonight before the meeting. Things look great. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of opportunity. And I haven't read the Times-Argus as much, since I'm not living in the area. But when a community is going through strife, you hear about it. And they have a reputation, and that's a really hard recruiting environment. You don't have that.
Right.
And that's your greatest strength right now. So one of them.
Yeah. So, council, as most of you know, I communicated this with you. Immediately I thought of Councilor Guston in terms of chairing this committee. Councilor Guston chaired the committee that ended up with Nicholas's hire. Thought she did an were you on the council back then?
No.
Okay, you were not. I thought she did an extraordinary job back then of managing, chairing that committee. She's very thorough. So I would, strongly recommend that this council appoint her as the chair of the committee. I have been speaking with Councilor Guston about others who might serve on the committee. She's had some ideas of her own. One of the things that I did suggest to Councilor Guston and Nicholas is that we have 2 department heads serve on the committee. I left it to Nicholas and the department heads to submit those names to Councilor Guston. I understand they have done that. And then we would have 1 counselor serving as well, in addition to Councilor Guston. And so that would, and then you had a name that you had submitted You okay sharing that?
An additional community member?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, yeah.
Yes. Josh Jerome, the executive director of the BADC.
So that was one, Councilor Guston. So I support all of her choices, and her suggestion is that they'll have an additional 2 members. They'll basically advertise. So we would seat a total of 5 initially. They would advertise and quickly. I mean, we want to stand this up as quickly as we can. But they would, so it would start with a committee of 5, expand to a committee of 7, if that's the will of the committee. As far as things, coming back and forth to the council, I'm not really interested in the other 2. If we seat the initial 5, I trust them to pick an additional 2. And we've had, and I'm just going to be very candid, we've had conversations about a lot of things. It's important to me, and I'm sure it's important to you, that the committee picks the best candidate for the city of Barre. Not someone who might be like them or someone who might share their views, but someone who they believe is the candidate they believe is in the best interest of the city of Barre. And that's what's important to me. And I trust I trust that the committee is going to do that, because as Dominic said, this is likely, and how many times have I had to do this? This would make number 4. And it is, and they have worked out. But it is a really, really important decision. I mean, my hope is that this next manager will be serving after some of us have, are not occupying the seats that we occupy today. That's my hope. So, Councilor Guston, if you'd like to share those names.
I'd be happy to, Mayor.
And if anything else you want to add, go right ahead.
But there was a
Oh, I'm sorry, was
question
there a
at the
question?
end. Councilor Deering?
No, I just said bless you.
Oh, thank you, sorry. No, it was,
You sneezed.
I thought you said
Bless
question.
you.
No, it was a cough. Okay. First of all, thank you, Dominic, for coming this evening. Really appreciate your expertise. As the mayor had said, the manager had asked department heads to forward on some names and have conversations with that. The proposed initial 5-person committee with myself as chair, I'm going to read off, would be Councilor Don Ruthier, Josh Jerome, Executive Director of the Barre Area Development Corp., Carol Dawes, currently serving treasurer for Barre City, Brian Baker, Director of Public Works, and the staff liaison for the committee would be Jeannie Galliano. And then there would be Jeannie Galliano, the current HR administrator for the city of Barre. As the mayor had suggested, 2 remaining community member slots, which would make for a 7-person committee with a quorum of 4. If there are members of the public interested in serving in those positions, I would ask that they indicate their interest by submitting the committee member application that is available on the City of Barre's website. That's the standard one that they would submit to serve on any committee. It covers the bases. Please submit that through the channels described by noon on Monday, May 25th. We're going to hit the ground running. So this is a quick turnaround. We will get word out as thoroughly and completely as possible about that quick turnaround, but we're gonna hit the inside of those windows as best as we can, and then we will get their appointments. And Mayor, do I understand you that how would we like to confirm those final 2 committee members?
Just shoot them back at the next, depending on how quickly you seat them. We would simply ratify. I mean, as far as like I've told you, I'm not going to second guess the committee.
Okay.
So, all right, I got to qualify that a little bit, but I don't think you'd be crazy. I mean, could I see a name where I'm like, oh, hell no? Yes, I could, but I just trust that you won't do that. So
I don't expect that to happen, no.
Let me just say, unless you really do something out of character, or the committee does, whatever names you send to the council, I'm going to ratify them.
So with that note, we would look to a ratification for the June 2nd meeting?
Yep, that would be fine.
With the recommendation of the committee on the remaining 2 members to seat.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just had one other thing. The city does have a standard committee appointment form. It's not exactly lengthy. I hope folks would, you can usually, when you're serving on a city, committee, whether it's cemeteries committee or we'll accept a one-paragraph statement. I hope folks would put a little bit more into that. This is really important. So I think I'd like to see, I hope that a successful applicant would put a little more effort than, I think I'd be good at choosing your city manager.
Yes.
Professional experience obviously is relevant. Management experience is relevant. It's not saying that if you don't have those things, you wouldn't be chosen. But try to put a little effort into the application in terms of why.
Well, I would add to that we have seen committee members in the past add additional statements to their applications, and that option is also available for anyone who feels strongly about applying to the committee, has other relevant experience that they want to share as well, can always add documentation to that basic application form. So.
And I'll just add that right now the application form is on our committee's volunteer opportunities website. What I will do is tomorrow morning we'll put it right up on the scroll, so people won't have, it'll be right on the front page when people log in, so they won't have to go searching for it. We'll have the instructions for submitting it and everything. So if people can wait until tomorrow morning when we can do that, we'll make it really close. Yeah.
Great.
And could you, and I know it's tomorrow morning, but could you work with the manager to come up with some language to put in the block, just encouraging people to be thorough and detailed in their application? That would be
Absolutely.
That would be great. Yes.
Just so I can be clear, the committee is, the 5 members of the committee that you just named are going to pick the 2 community members.
And then submit those names to council for ratification.
If that's okay.
That's fine. I just wanted to understand what the process was going to be.
And we'll let them pick them, and while ratification will come from the council, I anticipate I'd just be shocked if I couldn't support the 2 names that you send, that the committee sends, that's all. So other than that, council.
I have a question for
Yes.
Dominic. Could you possibly email me what you would think the 5 minimum requirements would be? I'm just curious. I mean, I'm really interested in this, but I'd like to hear what, if I'm in the ballpark where I think the 5 minimum requirements would be. And you can, to my political page, Don Ruth here.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect, as you said earlier, Dominic, you'll be having, once the committee is seated, the 7, you'll be having that conversation with the entire committee, saying, look, this is what's important. And it's also important to know what questions you cannot ask in an interview. And some of them may be perfectly innocent with the best of intentions, but you cannot ask them.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can send you that. It'd be better after I have that meeting.
That's fine. That's fine. I just, things are starting to go through my head.
I mean, what I can tell the committee, all the committee members, I've known Dominic for years, you will be well supported. Yes.
There are sort of a few more like logistical pieces relative to the search, and I had mentioned to council and to the sort of public that I would do a very brief review of our process in 2022 as a potential template. I think before I move into that, does it make sense to do a motion to approve that committee?
Yep.
So that it's
Motion would be in order.
all set?
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I did want to just do a few more things, and in part, as we move into the next phase, and partly in answer to your question, Councilor Ruthier, one of the first tasks the committee will have to tackle is to revise the manager's job description, which has not been touched since 2022, and will lay out those basic qualifications. Will be done with Dominic's input and does have to be approved at the council level. So that will be initial work for the committee, and it will come back to council to do a final review and approval of, and that is a necessary first component to getting the job posted. And as Dominic said, that's going to be one of our biggest factors in moving quickly, which we know we need to do. I wanted to just very briefly, I know I had laid some of this out in writing to council ahead of time, but just summarize for the public as well. I know people were watching last time in 2021 and 22 when we seated a search task force to hire a new city manager, but I just wanted to review that. That process had a 6-member committee with 1 staff member, who was Rick Taft, the HR administrator at the time. We began meeting in December, but didn't really dig into work until March of that year. Prior to doing that, we spent a fair amount of time revising the job description, which really hadn't been done in quite a while at that point, because Manager McKenzie had been previous to that for 12, 14 years, for quite a while. Doing that and then writing a city profile, which has been shared in your packet for parallel ones. And also, quite frankly, from roughly December to March, we were realizing we didn't have any money to spend on a consultant service. So that is going to be a significant change that I'm really looking forward to this time. That was the slow 3.5-month realization of, oh, we're going to have to do this all ourselves. So that was the first chunk of the committee. Moving on from that, in the final sort of stages of it, the committee did a lot of the steps that Dominic had already outlined. So again, I will restate, it will be wonderful to have additional support and professional support in that process of reviewing first-round applicants, choosing, doing interviews of those first-round applicants, sharing on second and finalist round applicants to the council, and providing feedback and updates to council as was requested. So one of the sort of questions going forward for council, once this committee is seated, what the update schedule, what council would like the update schedule to look like. Do you only want to hear when we have finalists, and so on? So that's one point of question. And another is that the committee, the search task force, also did fairly extensive public outreach around what people wanted to see in a manager. We did that through both meetings and all through surveying. And in my very brief initial conversations, I had envisioned a process where we hit the ground running, got the job advertisement up so that people were aware and interested, and then moved back to a public input process so that the input received from those conversations could then guide the criteria that help make choices for those initial rounds of folks. So that is also something I think council feedback will be crucial on, and that's going to also be an opportunity to bring in even more community members that are currently planned to be on the committee. So the process from start to finish, by which I mean from when we really started posting the advertisements until we hired but did not yet have seated a city manager, was about 4 months in 2022. And we moved fast then. So I do want to echo that while we all feel strongly that we want to move this process quickly, I would echo Dominic's statement that for the right person, we should be flexible and we should wait. I will also note that in the proposal that had been submitted from VLCT, another point on confidentiality and the way we ran it in 2022 was everything was kept confidential except within the council until the last site visit interviews, until the very finalist interviews. And that was VLCT's recommendation for this process as well. And I did want to air that conversation for council as well to make a commitment to that this evening. So that was a lot of me talking and trying to give an overview. But to recap, sort of three things to think about: the public input, the question of the sort of job description and next steps, and then that confidentiality up to the final interview. So.
And then we also have the contract with the league that we need to work through as well, correct? So council, you did have that in your packet. I don't know if you had a chance to review it. Councilor Guston, I believe, you've seen the contract as well, correct, Nicholas?
I have, yes.
Yeah, and the changes that Councilor Guston has proposed, have you seen those yet?
I think we ended up realizing it didn't need to be made a change, that there was just an understanding. I just wanted to make sure we had as many first-round applicants as possible. Dominic assured me that we would be flexible.
But again, if you want to suggest those, do you recall? So Would you be okay with the council approving the contract as presented?
Yeah. So just to be very specific about the change, the contract calls for an initial round of 5 applicants to have 30-minute phone interviews, and I had suggested 8 applicants for 1-hour phone or video conference interviews. It's not really a material change.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it would just be the length of the interview. So the approval of that contract was not specifically on the agenda, so if council, just, again, to give some direction, if anyone would care to make that motion and that second, we could get past that, and then we could just ratify next week, or next meeting.
I'd be happy to make that motion.
Okay. And a second? Thank you. Moved and seconded? Yes.
There's one part of the contract on page 7 where it says pay range, VLCT highly recommends including the salary range in the job advertisement. I'm pretty sure it's required now by the state.
It is.
So I don't think that's really optional.
Then we will take their advice.
Then we will definitely be doing that.
Okay.
Yes.
So any other questions regarding the contract, council? So the motion would be to approve the contract for the Executive Recruitment Services proposal submitted by the Vermont League of Cities and Towns and authorize the mayor to sign. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. And I will just execute this for you.
Go home with it tonight. Physically go home with it tonight.
Okay, yeah, continue away. Thank you.
I'll send you a link.
Look at you go. It's already on the website. That's what you were typing away
Well,
at.
I was typing away at, yeah.
All right. Sorry, I had a thought and I was distracted by the speediness of the website. The very last thing I would just say to council is that this will be a full city committee subject to open meeting laws, and I would say to any member of the public, we will be publicly posting and warning meetings of the committee to please attend, please give feedback. Would invite anyone to give me a call or shoot me an email for any input or conversational or anything like that. However, with that confidentiality in mind, the committee will probably be making extensive use of executive session. So be prepared and aware of that as well. Last time we had a whole trick worked out where we had candidates change their names before we admitted them to the Zoom. Yeah. And then we moved them straight into executive session because there were always people watching.
Wow.
We were very careful. So we'll see what levels of that we have to do this time. But there was a deep commitment that I imagine this new search committee would honor as well, to an open and transparent process, a thorough process, but also a process that respects the confidentiality and the importance of the work that we're doing. So I think that.
Any other questions,
covers
council? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, thought that was a question. Anything else? Okay, I think we're good for now. So going forward, you've got the executed contracts. You can just take a copy and, mail it to the league or whatever you want to do. I don't know if you want to wait until we ratify, probably at our next council meeting.
That is outside my area of expertise. I'll leave that up to the manager.
Yeah, we can do
Whatever works
that. We can
best.
do that either way, and you can simply let them know that on unanimous vote, we approve, but we do have to ratify because we didn't have it on the agenda.
Yep.
And other than that, you'll be choosing, we're advertising now, it's already up on the
We are
city
advertising now.
webpage, thank you.
Website, yep.
And you'll be choosing your 2 members, and again, those will come to the council simply for ratification. I think that's good. Anything more we can do, or any homework we should do, any items, information we should be pulling together?
You should think about, one of the best things that you can do to influence your process success is get the salary right. So think about where you want that conversation to occur. You want the committee to do that. There's some suggestions, I think, in the packet about where it likely ought to be.
Yeah, how long have you been doing this, Dominic?
5 years, this round,
So,
5 before.
Yeah, and how long have you been a city manager?
18.
Yeah, so you know your peers. What I would accept, I mean, what I'd love to see is a recommendation, work with Dominic to come up with, I mean, obviously, you know, things have changed. It has gotten a little more competitive out there. And obviously, we don't want to underprice the position and discourage qualified applicants from applying.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's likely, you know, looking at the manager's current contract, certainly not going to go lower than that. And like I said, for the right candidate, would go, in my mind, would go higher. You get what you pay for, folks. So how do you want to proceed with that, Counselor?
I think it should be a council decision. I think Dominic has given us some input on that, and I think we could discuss that as a
Yeah,
council.
and if you, but again, so our next scheduled meeting, we may talk this evening about meeting in the North End sometime soon, but our next scheduled meeting is not until the 2nd of June. So if you could wait that long, we could.
Fine, yeah.
I mean, we could just do that under consent agenda, and if you want to have that ready along with any other things.
Yeah, my hope would also be to have an updated job description for council discussion at the second as well, so we could have a complete package.
And do you have a few current job descriptions have you reviewed the one that we had done back?
I did, yeah.
What did you think? Good start?
Great start.
Good.
Yeah. You know, the job description rides alongside the charter and the manager statute, and so it's important to have it reflect the organization that you are today.
Right.
And so it's easy for them to get stale, and, you know, if you want a manager that leans into the economic development challenges, that should be reflected in the job description. If you want a manager that is more on the finance side, you know, all of those things need to be reflected in the job description. And that's just another way to inspire the confidence of candidates that you've done your homework.
Mm-hmm. And it was different. Back when we hired Nicholas, we didn't have a finance director. So we were leaning more heavily, and now as we look at things today, we have a finance director. Ms. Dawes has moved from, you know, having the duties of a treasurer and a clerk to just the treasurer, so we actually have more capacity there. So we probably have more capacity by far on the financial side today than we did when we did our last search.
Roles and responsibilities are really important for effective organizations, and you can't fix it as easily once somebody's in the job.
Right. I got it. Cool. Terrific. If you need, so you can communicate directly with Councilor Guston, no need to copy the entire council on it. But if you do need to copy us or, you know, if you need something from us, just ask and we'll be there. Great to see you again.
Yeah, likewise.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, council, upcoming business. Anything that, yes.
It's also flood resiliency plan review season.
Yay!
Most wonderful time of the year. I had spoken to the manager about teeing up a couple of agenda items in June for a complete review of the plan. We had made a commitment to doing it every 6 to 12 months. We're at the 12 month. We approved it on June 17, 2025. So just to recap for council, what we'll do is look at the pieces of the flood resiliency plan, anything that we're considering quote unquote finished. We can move into the completed section. We can move things out of the parking lot. We can make decisions about what just simply is not working for us anymore. Whether that means that we're not pursuing it or whether it means we just move it out of active projects because we're not succeeding in funding or organizational capacity or whatever to make it happen. So I have started reviewing that piece by piece and making sure we have updates. I will say up front for council, I don't know that we're going to make huge changes to it. We made huge progress in the last couple of updates, in part because we teed up some things for early success. But I think we're going to be more nibbling around the edges updates this time, which is fine. It's always intended to be a long plan, but just asking counselors to spend some time with the plan, think about what they are thinking about, is working, is not working, they might like to see swapped out instead, and we'll have some conversations about that in the future.
Yes.
I met with the JEDI committee met on Thursday, and one of the things that we did, which was part of our charge, is we went through the equity assessment plan specifically for the ordinance, the public nuisance properties ordinance. And one of the questions that came out of that whole process was, what is the process for developing new policies? And the general consensus of the JEDI committee was, we really wish we could be on the front end of those policies because they had some good feedback. And so I'd love to have a conversation. I'd love to invite them to come in to present the findings of just going through that one ordinance. I realize sometimes in the interest of time that we don't have a lot of time to be able to spend on that. But the reflection and the feedback that I was hearing was that it would be really nice if we could do this ahead instead of after the fact. So I just bring that up in hopes that we can present to you what we found going through our concerns, some options maybe for additional ideas for that particular ordinance. So if we could put that on an agenda sometime, I'm sure that members of the JEDI committee would love to come in and have a conversation. It was a great meeting. We were very thorough. Everyone was involved in the conversation. It was fantastic. So.
Yeah, and I think that would be, I mean, that's not an unreasonable request. I guess the only knowing how quickly we try to develop, in certain instances, we develop policy or ordinance for a very specific reason. So I certainly would have no issue with saying to the manager, hey, could you run this by the committee? But the committee has a responsibility to respond quickly as well, not, well, we'll talk about it for a couple of months and get back to you when so, if that's possible to accommodate them, I'd be fine with that. Yes.
Can I make a suggestion, Councilor Spalding, and, take it or leave it, but I wonder, because stuff often has to move quickly and because there's a concern maybe about asking the entire committee over email for quorum and open meeting issues, I wonder if it were something like members of the committee could have like areas of specialty that they're interested in, and that like some person could always keep an eye on the planning commission and what they're up to, because they're looking at some ordinance right now, potential ordinance, and some person is interested in public safety ordinance. Or I don't know if that's making it too complicated, but having a point, or just a point person who's the first person to take a look at new things might help to move that faster, and also, avoid some of those concerns about having meetings over email, as it were.
I appreciate that. I think that if there are conversations that are happening at other committee levels, it would be nice to even alert the JEDI committee so that we could just, watch those recordings, try to get an understanding of what those ordinances that are being discussed before they come to the council, so that, that they could have some kind of process to go through the equity assessment tool and provide their feedback. So.
Councilor Deering.
So is it possible, Councilor Spalding, as the liaison to that committee, that when we go through a first reading, you could let them know and then they could attend if they wanted to, or kind of give their feedback even through you potentially?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, I offered that I would certainly offer that. I think that the challenge is that we have, a set meeting on a set day, and we all sat together through that meeting and went through every single question and, gave our feedback. And so it may be difficult to respond quickly depending on how things are moving for the policies that we have on our agenda. But all of those are great suggestions, and I'll bring that back to the JEDI committee.
Yeah, but I think, Councilor Deering, that Councilor Spalding's suggestion was, getting them involved a little more on the front end, because they might have a suggestion. For example, the manager drafts a paragraph and they say, well, could you word it this way? And the manager says, sure, not, doesn't change the intent of the policy, I'm fine with that. So it kind of streamlines that. And then, of course, the point I made was sometimes we are trying to move quickly. So there could be instances where it might be appropriate for Councilor Spalding to say, I'm sorry, committee, we didn't have the time to address this up front the way we would have normally. So if you want to come in, you're going to be heard. Come on in when we have the first reading. And we could, do it then. So, yeah, but it's more an awareness of, okay, I get it. So we'll just work a little harder to make sure that we include everyone in that process, if we can, reasonably. And not lastly, but under upcoming business, how does everyone feel about meeting in the North End? I think it's been a while since we have our third round of DR funding. I think those applications are due, it's July, correct?
August, I believe.
1st of August? Is it right at the end? Then you don't have to look it up. I'm pretty sure so we do have some time. The purpose of the meeting would just be to sort of check in. I think when I had conversations with members of the administration, what was clear to me is that they didn't really feel like we had a cohesive plan. And we do. We all know that any plan that we start, and I've said this before, it's going to be a phased plan. It's going to be a big plan. It's important that we check in with the neighborhood, I think, and say, well, the last time we were here, this is what you told us. You told us that you liked your neighborhood. You liked the feel of your neighborhood. You liked single-family homes. You liked having some duplexes, some triplexes. And while you weren't absolutely opposed, you weren't crazy about the idea of another high-rise. But obviously, with other opportunities, we might lean harder into, a 40 or 60 unit building in the downtown. I'm convinced we need to sort of expand our repertoire. You've got different types of grant, new markets tax credits, which are powerful, 39% tax credit. That would be very attractive to any sort of developer. But the main point is just to check in with them. And, we haven't done a whole lot on the North End. Matter of fact, we've done very little on the North End. So it's checking in with them, an acknowledgement of that, talk to them about the phase plan. I still feel that certain aspects of the governor's original plan, going back to October of '23, with the wide green spaces, I thought that was one of the most stunning features of the plan, because there are certain areas in the North End where we just shouldn't be putting housing. And so everybody okay with that? If we think of, I was thinking next week, but we've got a short week actually next week, so I don't want to load folks up with stuff. Oh, just a reminder, 25th, if you want to, that's when they're doing the Memorial Day ceremony in the park. So you're all welcome to that. Just another reminder of that one. That was at what time, Councilor Guston? I told you.
You did. The ceremony.
Right at 10. The ceremony's at 11. Thank you very much. And so set up for the parade at around 10, if you want to be in the parade, or you can just come to the ceremony. And parade steps off, usually 10:30-ish, 10:20, 10:30, the parade steps off. So anyway, so I think I'll probably wait, and who knows, we might do our June 2nd meeting down on the North End. The Moutois is always a wonderful host. How hard is it for IT to arrange something like this?
This is not an issue at all.
No? Okay. So if we wanted to have, a Zoom meeting or just record it, make sure that people had the opportunity to. So I think we should just check in. And last one, and I don't want anyone to read into this, I would like to know if the council would mind if I had, we had a rather large drug bust recently in the city. I wouldn't be surprised if the charges go federal. I mean, there was that much drugs and cash and guns involved. So I'd like to know, and again, I'm not making any commitments to anything, but I just want to have some conversations with prosecutors. And the conversation I want to have is about forfeiture.
sir.
Forfeiture of the home. And I'm not saying we would do it, that would require council action, but I think it would be interesting to just ask the questions, because, generally speaking, when that forfeiture does occur, the proceeds usually go to benefit the community on some level, whether it's prevention, whether it's homelessness, whether it's a lot of things. And like I said, it's just a conversation I want to have. I'm not going to commit the city. I know I can't commit the city without a full vote of the council. But then again, if you're speaking to the state's attorney or to the federal attorney, I wouldn't want you to be shocked. Oh, I had this conversation with your mayor. So just making you aware. All right. And with that, was there anything else you wanted to see on a future agenda? And we will move to roundtable. Councilor Ruthier.
Just, it's nice seeing the Barre City people out doing the roads. Like, you mentioned all the different crews. My daughter lives up towards Woodland Drive, one of them, the other one lives up past camp, so I go up there a lot for the grandchildren, and I see they're always working up there, which is great.
Hey, Councilor Bergeron.
I guess I got nothing. Oh, no, wait a minute, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So successful elections went well. Turnout, terrible. So just for the people out there, if you don't like the way things went and you didn't vote, don't complain.
Councilor Spaulding.
I would echo that. I did see, there were a lot of people that showed up at the polls. I was there all day. And it's always great to be there and see all the people participating. But I also agree, I think I see more people involved in, the Barre resident chat than probably showed up to vote. So if those people are also showing up to vote, that's fantastic. And if they're not, I would encourage them to get registered.
Justin.
Pass.
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody again about the storm drain mapping event that Neighborly Barre Committee is doing. It's 11 o'clock on Saturday, the 30th of May at the Aldrich. We will teach you how to map storm drains. It is dead simple, I promise. I can do it with your cell phone. And it's been fun working with Councilor Guston on this as well. So this is part of the Adopt a Storm Drain. This is the first step in the Adopt a Storm Drain program that Council approved.
Councilor Deering.
I'm gonna pump the school's empty bowls project that's going on Thursday. Many of the middle school students have been working on ceramic bowls that you can eat out of. They are food safe. $10 to $12 in order to buy one of those bowls. Admission is by donation. That will be at Barre City Middle Elementary School in the cafeteria. Lots of hands are going to make light work. So there are many, many individuals involved. The proceeds are going to go to a food shelf of the students' choosing. They'll have a vote, a democratic vote, and they'll decide where they would like for their money that they're raising to go. So I would encourage you all to attend that event at the school. And I'll end with that.
Thank you. Okay, Council, we do have a request for an executive session. A motion for findings would be in order.
So move.
And a second, please.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, and I'll need a motion to enter executive session. We'll be joined by the city manager.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed will be in executive session in just a few, folks.
Okay.
Okay, Council, I would entertain a twofer, a motion to come out of executive session and adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Nicholas, can I
Yes.
show you those